saw us last time you
Just a little
saw
bit.
us. Last time you saw us was night 2 of WrestleMania 40, where myself, the bad guy, and Mizzle gave you a live ring psychology 2.0 as we sat there and watched as fans what transpired at Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania on night 2 of WrestleMania as we saw Cody finish the story and become world champion. We saw a return that we did not expect to see. And we saw many other things. And since then, we had one person make his grand return this past Sunday. We also had a pay-per-view this past Saturday. So a lot of things have transpired in the business. And then all to top it off today, Vince McMahon decided he wants to be back in the news again, and we will start with that story. As out of nowhere, of course, we heard about the whole Vince McMahon trial and the allegations and into details what happened. So today, and this was coming straight from Bleacher Report, if the doggone article decides it wants to
Load
load,
on it.
yeah, because technology has really not been kind to me this evening, as I appreciate my co-host for his patience, because technology sometimes likes to mess with me. But before we start, congratulations to the Dallas Mavericks, as it's the Kyrie Irving Finals, as it's the Boston Celtics taking on the Dallas Mavericks. So, from Bleacher Report, sent today, is a former WWF employee delays the Vince McMahon lawsuit amid federal investigation. So, of course, Janelle Grant, of course, who is the one that is coming out filing a lawsuit against Vince McMahon, has agreed to pause her lawsuit against ex-chairman and CEO Vince McMahon, and of course former head of talent, Cleophas. This is a wrestling show. You will get up. We will talk about the Celtics on the Mizzle and Dub show later on tonight. This is strictly about. This is strictly professional wrestling, but thank you for chiming in anyway. Following a request from the U.S. Attorney from the Southern District of New York, pending a non-public investigation. Ann Callis, no relation to Don, an attorney for Ms. Janelle Grant, emailed the following statement to Ariel Ziebler of the New York Post, stating, Ms. Grant has consented to a request by the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York to stay her case against Mr. McMahon, WWE, and Mr. Laurinaitis, pursuant to a non-public investigation. We will cooperate with all appropriate next steps. Grant has allegedly said that she was sexually assaulted and trafficked during her time in. Well, thank you. during her time with WWE. Jessica Rosenberg, an attorney for Vince McMahon, denied Grant's allegations on behalf of her client to Chloe Mellis of NBC News. We remain confident the evidence will prove Ms. Grant's allegations are false and her complaint is nothing more than a fabricated, vindictive narrative from a disgruntled former girlfriend. Of course, we all know that apparently she was Vince McMahon's mistress. She had just lost her parents. And then the details of what Vince did, we don't have to open up that door again. And for those that know,
I smell a settlement coming on.
Joe Palazzolo, Khadijah Safar, and Ted Mann of the Wall Street Journal reported back in February that the feds have contacted women in recent months regarding allegations of McMahon's sexual misconduct. That investigation reportedly began in 2022, and here we are in 2024. The stay in Grant's case is expected to last 6 months, per Lucas Shaw of Bloomberg. So that is the latest in the Vince McMahon investigation as of today, with that article coming from Bleacher Report. My man,
they're going to settle out of court.
Is that what you think?
It,
That's the,
oh, 100%. This smells like I said. This smells settlement all over it. The fact that she's halting everything, and it's just like this is the type of stuff that is just there. She's probably about to get a whole bunch of hush money right now.
like Stormy Daniels did.
100%, just like his buddy. Yeah, no, it has nothing to do with her making false allegations or anything else like that. This has been, I feel like this is a Vince McMahon stall tactic to figure out a way if he can get out of it with some sort of settlement. That's what I'm thinking is about to happen. Or the Illuminati's going to get her and she's going to disappear. So, whichever one comes first, that's what's going to happen. But don't expect to see Vince McMahon, you know, getting put behind bars or anything like that anytime soon for any sort of sexual misconduct. Even though, in reality, there's probably a good chance that he did. We all know certain billionaires and stuff like that are freaks. They do
Yes.
certain shit to just for some weird reason, people with that type of money just don't know what to do with themselves normally, so they do weird shit like this all the time. I don't know what the psyche behind it is. I don't understand it. It's completely weird to me, but
I agree.
mean, again, this is my own opinion. This is all, alleged. Anything else,
But
that's not hasn't been proven in court or anything like that. But
true.
I mean, look at the puzzles. Look at the little cookie crumbs over the years that have been thrown down for us to follow, and you will see a whole hell of a lot of information that will make you sour on said Vincent Kennedy McMahon.
Junior. But yeah, but I mean, just looking at some of the skits that he's done in the past, and really, we shouldn't be shocked by this. I mean, what he made Trish Stratus do, what he made Candice Michelle do, what he made
Trish Stratus, that poor woman.
I mean, what he, tried to do with Tori Wilson. I mean, that I mean, heck, what he made his own daughter do, for crying out loud. I mean, that segment about his daughter and doing all these things.
Talking about Dark Side of the Ring type shit.
Yes. And now that brings up to well, I mean, if she's saying that, well, did she do things with the late Macho Man Randy Savage? Now that opens up a whole new can of worms.
Because just think about this for a quick second, people. And I know we're getting into a little conspiracy hour and wrestling and all that other kind of, but it's pro wrestling related, so it works.
It really does. It is ring psychology, hence the name of this show.
Nobody just thinks of that type of shit. Okay. People need to understand. People like that who do crazy, like illegal, out of their mind things will put that shit right under your nose and you wouldn't even know it. Because of this world of fantasy, because of this world of, the male soap opera that is professional wrestling, all of these sorts of actions kind of get hidden under certain tones. Why on earth would you purposefully want that type of heat to be on you? Whether fake or not, that's a different type of. I understand people push the envelope, do crazy things in order to get heels do it all the time. I understand, the psychology behind that. But there are certain things that get said that really make you step back and go, there's some truth in what she just said. There's a truth in there, and it's up to us to kind of find out where that truth is lying.
Where do the pieces come together exactly?
100%. So it's not out of the ordinary for the bad guys to hide it right under your fucking nose. It's not out of the ordinary for that type of shit to happen. And then again, hide it under the guise of entertainment and storytelling, and it like not even Law and Order was coming up with this type of shit, on the regular. This type of stuff was so, again, when we watch it when it happens, we don't think about it, because when you watch professional wrestling, you go into it with a sense of, the what do they call it? Leaving your got to have a sense of disbelief. Is that what it's called? Somewhere along those lines.
It's more of okay, and it's also like
reality. Like it's a way to kind of get away, and
it's almost like going to a live sporting event. It takes me away from the reality of having to pay bills, an adult, and I can get lost for those 2 or 3 hours and enjoy myself because I am being entertained by an art. That's what professional wrestling has always been, certainly in the United States since the 20th century. It's our way of, okay, you know what? I know I'm dealing with this at home, but you know what? At least for these 2 hours, 3 hours that I'm at this event, I can live my imagination through these characters that I'm seeing being portrayed on TV. Because again, Stone Cold being a Vince. Who doesn't want to stomp a mud hole in their boss and walk it dry? We got to live through Austin through that 100%. by him beating up his boss during that rivalry. As we are joined by
it's a couple here I wouldn't mind giving a stun or two right about now.
I see my point hits my point as we're being joined by my co-host on the Mizzle and Dub Show, Stone Cold Mizzle, and of course he is feeling
like Kendrick said, sweet chin music when I walk past the ops. That's 100%. What I want to do sometimes to some people, bro.
That's 100%. 100%.
So Mizzle, do you agree with what JP said that it looks like Vince is trying to come to a settlement and pay Miss Grant a lot of money to go away?
Well, didn't he do that in the first place? So this will be his second time doing it, correct?
Well, it was an NDA with hush money attached to it, but because he didn't fulfill his obligations in the payment of said NDA, contract was breached, and she was able to say whatever it was that she wanted to say.
Oh,
that's why a part of this is the timing of it is so convenient. This is. That's what I'm saying. The lawyers going out and saying, "Oh, this is egregious. None of it's true." That's their job to say that shit. That's their job to make you think. Defense attorneys, some of the most scumbag people on the earth. Like, I'm sorry. Just some of the people that are defense attorneys will lie. Has anybody ever seen the movie Liar Liar?
Oh, it's classic.
Oh, 100%, right? Liar. That is basically every single defense attorney times 10.
So let me pose this question to both of you gentlemen. Could the delay today possibly happen because there was a certain somebody that just got found guilty of 34 counts today? Do you think that possibly could have played a reason as to why all of a sudden there's a delay in the trial? Because
wait. Who got the 34? What happened?
Trump got is guilty of all 34 counts. Hold on, wait a minute. No pun intended. That trumped everything.
They found him guilty
on all 34 counts.
Yes.
So I believe that kind of possibly did trump what's going on with Vince McMahon
because he's being tried all this is being tried in the state of New York because I did mention in the article the New York attorney's office in New York.
So they're delaying Vince McMahon's case because what the fuck kind of psycho circus is this?
I'm not saying that they are. I'm
posing a question.
I'm posing a question. Could that be the reason why it's delayed because of what happened with one former president? Because here's not to
shit is so crazy nowadays. You really don't know. It's not out of the realm of possibility.
100%.
It's not out of the realm of possibility that 100%. That happened. That's some sort of like they're gonna deny, they're gonna delay, and they're thinking of some sort of amount to be able to throw at this woman for her to recant her statement and shut the hell up. They're trying to figure that out right now as we speak.
Well, I'll say this: it will be more than the $3 million that Vince had promised her to pay her in the first place, because the original payment.
By the way, does he still have that mustache?
That's a good question.
It should be in the clause of the contract that's about to come up in the settlement that mustache also needs to go with the money. They need to basically try and find a way to shave that off, put it in a plastic bag, and give to her to do whatever the fuck she pleases with, along with however many millions they're about to give her.
It seems like ever since he went from Vince to Vicente, and he dyed the hair, and along with that baby,
there's only one Vicente, cabrón. There's only one. You can't copy that.
Nobody can duplicate Chente Fernandez. Let me just go there. Patron and sombrero and all. Chente is who I call the king of passion, and that's all. You know what? Don't make me get in my feelings right now and play some Chente and just start yelling like a mariachi. I already did that early this morning.
I hear my grandma singing it right now.
Right? Yes, the legendary Vicente Fernandez. But yeah, yes. Oddly enough, he passed away on my birthday, so me and Chente are forever twined together.
Oh, damn.
Yeah,
I don't know whether to say you're lucky or be bummed.
It's a little bit of both, because it was on my 39th birthday. I'm like, oh, Chente! So needless to say, I played some Chente on my birthday and had a shot in his honor. Wasn't Patron, but still had some tequila in his honor. But it's just funny how that took place in New York, and this is taking place in New York, and all of a sudden now Laurinaitis, before this came out, was trying to, all of a sudden trying to side himself and be on Vince's side and saying, you know what, I was falsely accused, this, that, and the third. But the funny thing about this is I'm pretty sure they're not they're going to be separate. I mean, they're separated, but I mean, even Vince admitted to Linda that, yeah, I cheat on you. And Vince even said this in the article when he was being interviewed by Playboy magazine. And this was back in like the early 2000s.
Yeah, this has been obvious from the get-go. That wasn't just an act on TV during the Attitude Era. That was a legitimate thing.
No.
That was that poor woman, Linda McMahon. But then I don't even want to say poor woman, because I was like, you know what you signed up for at that point. You kind of knew what you signed up for. You guys had, open relationship, whatever the fuck it was that you wanted to call it. Legally, you were still married, but we all know that, billionaires can't just have one. So it's we all know that she stayed, and she ended up creating a political career out of the whole thing. Her family's worth billions of dollars. She's not really tripping right now. She's probably getting herself a little something on the side from some of the wrestlers themselves.
I wouldn't put it past me.
Would not. That McMahon family is they got some odd people on that side.
Well, all I know is Shane did the smart thing. So you know what? I am getting ghosted, and you ain't gonna see or hear from me.
That was the smartest thing that he might have did right there. He saw the writing on the wall. He saw it.
He's like, I'm just going to be a dad and root my son on in North Carolina since he's playing defense on North Carolina.
That might be a cop-out. He might have had something to do with it as well. You think Shane McMahon didn't know what was going on?
Well, I believe they all knew.
The whole family knew
what was going on.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't believe the whole, he just, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this. I'm going to go take care of my family. No, he's running. There's something there's much more than just Vince McMahon alone.
Because
and it might get to the point we could see this at now.
And again, I go
here's
back
it,
to
go ahead,
Jimmy. No, I go back to the whole Stephanie Macho Man thing. Because we know people leave Vince all the doggone time. But
I had a dark ass joke in my head. I
know you did, but Vince McMahon was legitimately sad that Randy left, because Vince McMahon didn't go on air and do public thank yous for wrestlers that left his company. Randy Savage is the only
Slim Jim.
Randy Savage is the only one that Vince McMahon ever went on air and gave a public thank you to Randy when Randy did not renew his contract and went to WCW. And that clip is famously on YouTube. So, So again, it's like, okay, why hasn't somebody spilled the beans, or what are they waiting on to spill the beans if in case Stephanie and Randy did happen to do something? Because, I mean, apparently when it happened, Stephanie was of legal age. She wasn't underage. She was over 18. Now, granted, yeah, she was born in, I want to say she was born in 76. And allegedly when all this stuff happened, Stephanie was 18 because she turned 20 in 96. But I'm going to make sure
I heard somewhere 15, 16.
Okay. Now, if it's that, then that's a whole...
This is just my... If I heard it wrong and that's not the truth, then so be it. I'm just saying that's the number that I
heard. Now that's a whole different ball game.
That's a different can of worms right there.
Whole different can.
And you know what it's going to come down to? Because you really got to think about it this way. Hollywood, big fame, all of that kind of stuff. How many times throughout history, even modern history, the 21st century, have we seen grown-ass adults getting with and or marrying young-ass kids at the age of 15, 16 years old?
Elvis, Jerry Lee Lewis, Woody Allen.
The list goes on and on. The list goes on and on. So at that time for them, if allegedly, if some sort of relationship was going on at that point, and Vince McMahon was using his daughter as a way of leverage to possibly keep a superstar on the fucking roster.
That's ridiculous. That's disgusting.
Allegedly.
I mean, how can we say allegedly when we already seen what he did with this other woman? So it wouldn't be far fetched for him to pimp out his daughter.
Underage daughter. That's where it becomes worse.
Yes.
That's where it gets into a whole. That's, to be completely honest with you, I am absolutely shocked and I was shocked that Stephanie McMahon showed her face at WrestleMania.
She's going to show up now because her dad's not part of the company. That's the only reason why she left.
I understand that, but there's implications that Stephanie had played a part in some of this shit.
This is true.
And not just that, she was a modern day Moolah. She just wasn't actually wrestling. She's basically pimping the girls out.
Because Moolah certainly definitely was back in the day, or that's what allegedly they were saying about the fabulous Moolah.
This is all, stuff that's out there that if you really think about it, the nuggets are there. It's a fucking disgusting situation. Like it's crazy how far back you think about it. And I remember seeing a documentary, and then I see the pictures fucking Stephanie McMahon at the age of 12 years old sitting on Andre the Giant's lap. when you hear everything, it just gets you go down a rabbit hole you don't want to go down. You go down a rabbit hole that just I would completely understand if some people just left the chat right here for the next like 5 minutes or so, collected themselves, and then came back and enjoyed the rest of the show. But that's how like crazy this entire situation. Like we're over 20 years worth of just absolute disturbing shit. And the fact that it's taken this long for anything to even come of it is one of the biggest questions I have in this whole thing.
It makes no sense. It makes none sense because it's just because you think about he's the greatest modern promoter since his dad, since the Crockett family, and we can throw in Fritz, we can throw in the Mushnick in St. Louis.
Can I maybe ask you a question?
Go ahead.
Can we really call him the greatest promoter when all he did was buy out the competition and steal other people's ideas, like Paul Heyman, Hall of Famer, Paul Heyman? Without Paul Heyman and ECW, there is no Attitude Era. What are we really talking about here?
And that's 1,000%.
Without
that's 1,000% facts.
And pushing and they actually took the idea of the cruiserweights from you again. Without Paul Heyman, without a lot of other people doing certain things, Vince McMahon has nothing. And we know that it's not great, especially when he has no competition, when he has nothing around him, he can just do whatever the fuck he wants to do. We've seen how bad the product can actually be.
Well, like I said,
but nothing can happen because there's no competitors.
And again, viewers like I said, me and Mizzle stopped watching for a minute.
Oh yeah.
I
stopped watching for a couple of years.
Like we would still watch the pay-per-views, but like
he's had he's hit. Like let's not kid ourselves. He's hit in certain situations, certain matchups, building up of certain characters and stuff. Yeah. He's hit. Like there is a sense of genius in there, no matter how crazy it may be. Yes. Certain things that he has done, it's like, wow, that idea was crazy. Like, that was awesome. But he has also had the ideas of, what the fuck was that? Like, what are we doing? Are you really that lazy right now? You just don't give a fuck today, do you, Vince? Like, you just don't care. This is just, we can throw away this episode. Let's get to next week. Fuck this. I'm tired. Like, I like, there were certain times where, and I'm like you guys, I couldn't bear to watch. The best thing that ever happened to the WWE at that point was Hunter going down and taking over NXT and turning that into the brand that it was, because literally NXT kept the WWE afloat for a long period of time because they were putting on all of the best matches. All of the best rivalries, all of the best attention, like the high flyers, the technical wrestlers. That was all Hunter and Sean over there in NXT, and William Regal and everybody there in NXT. That kept them afloat.
Them taking over after Dusty passed away gave you the crop that is carrying the company now, which gave you the 4 Horsewomen, which gave you Seth, which gave you Roman, which gave you Sami Zayn, which gave you Kevin Owens.
We can literally talk 45 minutes of just names that we can just because of NXT.
Yeah. And now you got Mr. Steiner, aka Braun Breaker. Now he's on the main roster. Hopefully,
can they take away the Breaker?
I don't think that's going to happen. Like I told you, we had a little discussion. I think, and Dub kind of said it the right way. I think he wants to build his own path, so he doesn't want to use the Steiner name, which I think he should. But I think he's trying to build his own path.
I'm sorry. How do you want to go away from the Steiner name, yet you're doing exactly what the fucking Steiners used to do?
I agree, but some of these kids, man, they want their own path. They don't want to live in their parents' legacy. Well,
that's kind of like Brian Pillman Jr.
Yes. You took the words. You took the words
I'm
right out of my
sorry,
mouth.
Alexis King. Can we talk about how horrible Alexis King was? That not the most random, generic ass fucking name you had ever heard in your whole entire life?
Here,
Alexis King? Are you fucking kidding me?
Here's the thing. Wrestling fans are very, very smart. Don't insult their intelligence, because if you do, they will let you know how they feel.
I like that one. TNA with Samoa Joe, Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, all that time of TNA.
Jay Lethal, Sanjay Dutt.
I'm sorry, Kurt Angle in his prime. Kurt Angle in his fucking prime.
Kurt Angle and Sting and TNA put together some classic matches.
That was they had the X division, the Motor City Machine Guns, the Young Bucks in the rookie, like in their rookie days and stuff.
And of course, my all-time favorite team in TNA, Beer Money. Sorry about your damn luck. Love Bobby Roode, love James Storm. Beer Money Incorporated. Those were my guys. Those were my guys. Oh my goodness. But yeah, I love the Hexagon ring. I love the 6 sides of steel. Just hearing Mike Tenay and the late great Don West, I mean, their chemistry was just great. Obviously, Taz can work with anybody, going from Cole to Tenay to now going with Excalibur and Shivani. Taz is just talented like that.
Thank God he got better. That's all I was like. When he was first starting out, like, there was a whole hell of a lot of truth to what Paul Heyman said during that shoot on Vince McMahon. Taz was
a killer.
He only had like 5 really things that he said. Look at this! Watch out! Oh my God! That's about it. That's all he did. And then he would describe certain things in the ring, like certain holds and everything else like that. But Michael Cole really carried that entire thing.
And you know what?
You can't compete with the King and Jim Ross. Like I don't think there's ever been a duo better than those two.
Well, yeah. Well, okay. Now, I hear you, and I'm not disagreeing, but we never would have got JR and King if Gorilla and Jesse, Vince and Jesse, and Gorilla and Brain set the standard. I mean, basically,
I didn't really like Vince as an announcer. He was very over dramatic to me. Like there's being dramatic, and then there's being over the top, over dramatic.
Well, I mean,
he was very.
Well, I mean, when it's your company,
my own personal opinion.
You're not. I don't disagree, but when it's your own company, you can, I guess, do what the heck you want to do.
What do you want? Gorilla Monsoon was the shit, though.
Well, all right. No, I mean, Gorilla
Later,
for a long time. We appreciate you coming on, Mizzle.
Come back soon.
I'll be chiming in a little bit, but I gotta get back to work.
Don't forget, we will do a quick rapid fire NBA preview of the finals. So just catch us on the Mizzle Show YouTube channel, a late night edition, real quick when Mizzle gets off of work. So join us then.
Hell yeah.
But we appreciate Stone Cold Mizzle coming on and giving us a few minutes. I
gotta get that sound now for him.
Or you can get the Yeet sound bite, because he'll work with that too. But I mean, just Vince wasn't really your traditional play-by-play guy. Vince is just more so of a hype man. But him and Jesse worked and meshed well, which made Superstar so great and Saturday Night's Main Event so great. I wish they could have worked a pay-per-view, even though they did do the first Royal Rumble, but that really wasn't a pay-per-view yet. That was just a special event. I really wished he didn't fire Jesse before SummerSlam night, because SummerSlam night was finally going to be the Vince and Jesse pay-per-view and listening to 3 hours of Jesse telling McMahon to shut up, McMahon, would have made my inner childhood just go galore. But I mean, Ali, where are you chiming in from, sir? So I can give you a better time frame. Are you in the United States or are you overseas? And then I can give you a better time frame. I can give you a better time frame to tell you when we're gonna do the Missile and Dub show.
And then the All Pro Java is basically going every Friday night at this point, 7 o'clock. You got an interview tomorrow. Got some big things coming up. We got a debut of something early in the show, so don't forget.
Which I will say this: we kind of hyped it up. Oh, so you're on the West Coast, okay? So
easy.
So we're on the West Coast too. So basically, it will be somewhere in the 11:45 p.m. to midnight.
They're definitely night owls.
Yes. While everybody
the night owls are in.
While everybody is sleeping, that's when we mainly do our rapid fire show. So I will say around 11:45 p.m. Pacific time or midnight Pacific time is when you will catch a rapid fire 208 edition of the Missile and Dub show as we will recap the game that was not in Minnesota and a little quick preview of the finals between Boston and Dallas, which will take place a week from tonight, actually. But there was a grand return that took place in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. A shot in the arm.
That was big. That was big.
A shot in the arm that AEW needed. The devil has returned. One Maxwell Jacob Freeman.
No. The Wolf of Wrestling is back.
Okay, you want to go off the new shirt that he's promoting?
We got to be. I'm the reason why this is big, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows and saw it, and the obvious reason because of it. It's when he showed the AEW tattoo.
Yes.
Saying "bet on yourself."
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh, AEW is about to go on a whole nother level now."
Mm-hmm.
This is about to get very, very interesting for the foreseeable future because AEW knows the trajectory of where WWE is going right now and what they're about to do.
Mm-hmm.
And if they want to keep up, they need to be able to, do some homegrown talent, cherry picking off, old and stuff like that. They need to they need to figure something out. Tony Khan has more than enough money to be able to start doing homegrown talent. What they did was they essentially took, their best chance of the women's division in Jade Cargill and let her go to the WWE because they didn't know how to develop her. They didn't know how to really in-ring and everything else like that because the teachers and everything like that are at the WWE, that style. We're about to see Jade Cargill turn into a megastar in WWE. So AEW needs to go and turn it around.
If she hasn't already.
But, so AEW needs to get it turned around, and bringing Sir Maxwell Jacob Friedman back into the fray, spray tan and all. AEW is in good shape.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's going to we're going to start seeing some rivalries with the Young Bucks and everything else. We're going to see some kind of, he's definitely still going to be an asshole. He's still going to be a more predominantly heel, but he's loved by the fans.
Mm-hmm.
So he's what they would call a tweener.
Yes.
But he's more of a heel.
Yes.
And I honestly think AEW, whatever Tony Khan did, because he probably threw a whole hell of a lot of money.
Well, report is it's the highest contract in the 6-year history of AEW.
So they have the best heel in the game on their squad, and now they can be able to kind of get rivalries and stuff like that going. capitalize on the trios championships and stuff that you have, because you know WWE is very, very soon going to be going down that route.
Mm-hmm.
They're already adding titles. In NXT, they got the North American Women's Championship now. And, you know, with NXT, can I talk about how crazy fucking it is that Jordynne Grace
shows up on NXT
as the Knockouts Women's Champion?
Yeah.
And challenges Roxanne Perez, the Prodigy, at Battleground. Like, this is a dip. So this is where you're going to kind of see WWE and TNA are going to be working together, and AEW and New Japan are going to be working together.
And Ring of Honor.
Sure. Just sure. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
But
just for giggles.
Just those two, I guess, tag teams, we'll say, under the AEW and WWE umbrellas, are going to come together to start creating these, you know, dream matches, per se. You know, people are already starting to talk about the possibility of Nick Nemeth, aka Dolph Ziggler, making a return to WWE under the TNA banner. Talking about Moose going up against a whole lot of people. There's a whole lot of talks for different things for TNA and WWE. And okay. So they're fighting for the title.
Mm-hmm.
Jordynne Grace and Roxanne Perez, right?
Mm-hmm. Now, before you get to that,
there is no possible way
mm-hmm.
that this match ends clean. There's going to be some sort of interference.
A dusty finish.
Oh, yeah. 100%. The dustiest fucking finish you could ever think of. There's no... They're gonna put on a great match, but then somebody from somewhere is gonna fuck it up, and that's gonna cause a rivalry and all that. There is no way that realistically, do you think Roxanne Perez can beat Jordynne Grace?
If we're talking
given what we know about Jordynne Grace's background and her competition with the men of TNA,
no,
she's won the title and everything. That she's got more experience than Roxanne.
She's
much bigger and stronger.
If we're talking about who can win in real life, and this is unscripted, Jordynne Grace would beat her in a landslide. Yeah, she would just lay the smackdown. But real quickly, before you emphasize on this, here's the results this past Sunday from Double or Nothing. In the dark matches, Deonna Purrazzo beat Thunder Rosa. The Acclaimed beat Brian Cage, Bishop Khan, and Leona. Will Ospreay, what more can you say? Him and Roderick Strong, 5-star of 5.
That was a dark match?
No. The first two were dark match. Well, they were on the pre-game version of the pay-per-view.
But the opener was Roderick Strong and Ospreay.
Strong and Ospreay opened the show, which, I mean, realistically, really should have been the main event, but, you know, can't have the world title be the first match. But Strong and Ospreay do a fantastic match. Early candidate for match of the year 2024. Ospreay gets the win by pinfall, and now he is your new AEW International Championship, which now he will take on Swerve Strickland for both belts at Forbidden Door, the next pay-per-view by AEW. Bang Bang Gang, the Guns, and Jay White in the Trios match defeat the Death Triangle by pinfall. Toni Storm retains the AEW Women's Championship by beating Serena Deeb.
Watch for the shoe.
Orange Cassidy, my guy, beats Trent Beretta in the singles match and the grudge match. Chris Jericho retains the FTW Championship by beating Shibata and Hook. The IWGP World Title match as Moxley beats Tashida by a pinfall.
What was the name? Go back up. What was the name?
I can't say his freaking name.
I I love how you just Shida.
Konosuke Tashida. That's my best way of trying to pronounce Japanese names. It's not Masahiro Chono or Kensuke Sasaki or the Great Kabuki or the Great Muda or Jushin Thunder Liger.
See, you have no problem with it.
But nonetheless, Jon Moxley retains his IWGP World title in the barbed wire steel cage match. Unfortunately, it caused a fractured tibia for Adam Copeland, but he did defeat Malachi Black. But of course,
did he really fracture tibia? Really?
Yeah. Edge went on his Instagram page and said that he showed the crutches and fractured his tibia, which is why now the TNT Championship is being held up. And Tony Khan's next best thing, a tournament for the TBS champion or for the TNT Championship. Of course, Mercedes wins against Nightingale, and then we finally get the heel turn as Chris Statlander goes heel. Hopefully, they will not waste her and bury her like they have been.
Good for her.
Yes.
Good for her. She deserved this.
So that will turn into a nice program.
Her and Willow are going to have a good little rivalry.
Yeah. Hopefully they do it right. And of course, Swerve maintains his title by beating Christian Cage by pinfall. And in the Anarchy in the Arena match, the EVPs, the Jackson brothers, Okada, and Luke Perry's son, who got burned by Darby Allin with all that jail on his body.
He literally got set on fire.
Beat
Brian. Wow.
they beat Bryan Danielson, Darby Allin, and FTR in Anarchy in the Arena. That was your main event. So that's what took place at Double or Nothing. And now we will take place on the results of what happened on Saturday in the King of the Ring or King and Queen of the Ring in 2024 that took place in Jeddah Superdome in Saudi Arabia. The results of that: Bianca and Jade retained their tag team championships by beating.
I don't like they were pre-show.
You didn't like that at all?
No.
And
no, I do not like the fact that in the women's division, your biggest moneymaker, Bianca Belair, with Jade Cargill, who's let's just say the next best thing in the women's division,
who is as over as you can possibly be.
You put them in the fucking pre-show? What is this, a punishment? What did they do wrong? Who pissed off who? Did Jade finally tell somebody in the back to cut the shit? Is that finally what happened? Did something? Because there's no fucking way that should have been pre-show. That to me is an absolute slap in the face. And on top of that, I don't even think it was 5 minutes. It was less than 5 minutes. It felt like less than 5 minutes.
It was actually an 8-minute and 5-second match.
Oh, good luck. Okay. So it just went quicker. That, under 10 minutes, like, we're trying to showcase. You're trying to, the finishing move that they put was pretty cool. I like how they did that. But it's showing the power of the two because let's face it.
Those are some strong women.
Those are the two strongest women in all of WWE. And I found it funny, and this is no disrespect to Naomi, at all. But when it was the three of them and everything like that, and they're all flexing together, I'm like, oh, Naomi, I'm sorry. I'm sorry they're doing that to you. Naomi, don't get me wrong. She looks damn good. She's strong. She's fit. But we basically got two women here who have 0% fucking body fat.
And Jade is
just
she is as chiseled. She is as chiseled as you want to be. My goodness.
How I need a comparison real quick. How big is she compared to China?
Whoa. Wait a minute.
I want to see the size comparison between her and China. Because I think Jade might be bigger than her by a little bit.
Are we talking mass-wise or height-wise?
Both. Because I think Jade is. I definitely think physically Jade is much stronger than.
This is not good. Breaking news, folks. I mean, this is not wrestling related, but it does have strong Bay Area ties here. Drew Gordon, the older brother of Aaron Gordon, who plays with the Denver Nuggets, died in a car accident in Portland, Oregon on Thursday, confirmed by the Nuggets and his agent, gone at the age of 33. Of course, Drew was a native of San Jose, California, so that's why I said it does have Bay Area ties.
My high school played against him. I remember my buddy Chijoki played against him in high school. They went to St. Francis? Did they go to?
Doesn't mention
the high school or Archbishop Mitty. Was it Mitty?
Doesn't mention the high school, but he is a former McDonald's All-American. He played collegiately at UCLA and New Mexico. Drew Gordon, the older brother of Denver's Aaron Gordon, of course, Bay Area natives, passed away in a car accident at the age of 33. Certainly our prayers to the Gordon family and his former teammates and those that knew him. Just sad to hear. Brought to you by ESPN. So as we try to get back on track, Sami Zayn defeated Chad Gable to retain his Intercontinental Championship. Nia Jax is the queen of the ring, and now she will get...
Can we talk about that finish?
Go ahead.
For Nia and that had to have hurt.
Well, Nia's a big woman.
Valkyria is not that big of a she's not that big.
No, but Nia is.
For Nia to basically her entire weight like that, basically just Yokozuna pancake her ass the way that it, like, oh my god, I thought she must have like punctured a lung. Like I thought the ribs were broken, spine, some sort of bruising. Valkyria is going to be out for a little while because that looked so brutal. And I was like, who really thought this wasn't going to be the outcome? Like, did we really think Nia Jax was going to lose to Valkyria? Like, no. I don't think realistically anybody, looked at that match and went, that wasn't going to happen.
And Gunther will get a shot at Damian Priest at SummerSlam, and he is the king of the ring.
Another moment.
As he defeats Randy Orton. Cody Rhodes defended his championship against Logan Paul in a singles match. And the firecracker that is Liv Morgan beats Becky Lynch to become the world champion. And Becky Lynch exercised a rematch clause on Raw, and Liv retained her title, as Becky Lynch will be going away because Becky's contract expires next week. And now we will find out if the man will renegotiate, or
she's not fucking going nowhere.
I believe that. But we gotta tease it because that's just what we do.
I mean, that's what the people who are trying to cause a ruckus, she's going to AEW.
No, she's not.
She's not. She's taking a break.
Yes,
like she's been
a well-deserved break. Her and her husband get to go spend some time with their daughter at home.
That's what I'm saying. Let them take care of their kid. Fuck, let them have some time.
Yeah, he's taking time. I mean, her, Seth, and Roman have been basically carrying the company for the last 3 years. Seth and Becky on Raw, obviously Roman on SmackDown. Those three in particular have carried the banner and have carried it very, very well. and getting some much deserved time off to recharge the batteries and refresh. But now, we're now stirring the pot because when Mommy makes her grand return, will this be a love triangle story? As Liv Morgan decides to lip lock with one Dominic Mysterio to make Dominic look confused as Raw.
That's what a home record does, Liv. That's what a home record does. You're destroying a perfectly good family here. Dominic Mysterio did nothing wrong for you to be doing that. Like, goddamn. They're over here trying to break up Mommy and Dom Dom. That's fucked up. That's fucked up, Liv. You're over here causing a problem.
Well,
You're over here causing a problem. That's crazy.
I mean, Eddie did cheat on Mamacita. He did cheat on China. So, I mean, since he wants to
lie, you cheat, you steal, you got to do what you got to do.
I mean, you know, he's come on said that I wish Eddie was my dad. Well, you are trending in that Eddie direction of lie, cheat, and steal, because you definitely didn't say Liv get off me when she was locking on your lips at the end of the show.
Did you see his react? Like
I did. He was like, eh. He's like, no, I don't want it. No,
stop it. No, that Liv was like trying to force tongue. Like that shit was crazy.
She was like, come here, boy. Come here.
Trying to start a like, no. She was trying to suck the mullet off that fucking kid. Like that was crazy. I was looking at it going like, well, Mommy's about to absolutely just kill Liv Morgan now.
Oh yes, the rehab is just got a little bit faster for Mommy. But yes, the Liv Revenge Tour is off to a hot start as Liv is in her reign as Women's World Champion. And now we just await for Mommy return from her rehab. And finally, we will finish that story that never really got a chance to get off water because Liv got injured. Then Mommy got injured. So when Mommy returns, we will finally get the story that is Liv and Rhea Ripley.
This is long-term storytelling at its finest.
Yes, it is. And now you bring in the whole of Liv kissing Dom and how that will infuriate Mommy. Because, as we know, Mommy likes to be always on top.
Do you think the Judgment Day is going to break up soon?
It's coming that way. Because...
Kind of looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Because Priest is going to venture out on his own. Which he'll be fine on his own, being the world champion. Unfortunately, as talented as Finn Balor is, they just don't know what to do with him. Because
damn shame. Because he's so good.
Yes, he is.
He's so good.
And again, I go back to 2016. The most unfortunate thing that happened for Finn Balor is he had to have surgery on his rotator cuff because he tore it in that fantastic match he had against Seth at SummerSlam 2016 because he was going to have a long reign. People forget Finn Balor is the very, very first Universal Champion in the history of the WWE. People forget that.
Oh, yeah, people. You know Bullet Club? Yeah, that's the originator, motherfuckers.
Yes.
Like, you better put some respect on that man's name. Like, you talk about somebody who has left an absolute legacy in the professional wrestling world. Finn Balor is that guy. And the way they're kind of using him right now is kind of frustrating because you know how good he actually is. What up, C-Love?
It's almost like, what's going on, Oos? It's almost like how they just completely crapped on Dolph Ziggler before Dolph went to TNA. That's the vibes. That's the vibes.
I still think Dolph Ziggler was probably top 3 all-time sellers.
Yes.
In the game.
Yes.
That guy
was
something else.
He was your version of Shawn Michaels selling or overselling, whatever you want to call it.
Oh,
that was Dolph Ziggler.
He made everybody look good.
But my point. But my point is, Dolph had momentum, and they just buried him. And unfortunately for Finn, if he didn't have the rotator cuff problem, he was going to have a nice lengthy reign as Universal Champion. That was the plan with Finn Balor when Finn won the first Universal title back in 2016. And now here we are 8 years, and here we are 8 years later. It's like, to make him relevant, you have to put him in a what's the word I'm looking for? In a
faction. I mean,
in a faction.
He was the leader originally.
Correct.
And then Rhea Ripley just tapped into a whole nother level in her character to where she was more over than anybody in the group. It didn't matter who the fuck you had in the group. Rhea Ripley was the most over. That's why they keep going back to the well of that joke. Is like, oh, mommy was the real leader of the Judgment Day, and mommy's not here. They keep going back to that because she and still is the most over. And then as time went on, instead of basically giving Finn the Money in the Bank opportunity,
the push, they gave it to Damian Priest.
They gave it to Damian Priest. And now Finn Balor is basically just JD McDonough's older brother. And he's trying to keep him out of fucking trouble because he keeps getting his ass beat by everybody else. Like, that's just the characters become like, what are we really doing here? Because, I mean, he's doing well with what he's been given, but
we know, but you and I both know there's more. There's more to Finn Balor. There's more that there's more that he can give, and it's not being shown.
Just put on the Prince Devitt tape, people. Just go back to the New Japan days, all Japan. Like, just go back to the days of Prince Devitt, and you'll understand that this guy can go.
That's a real
fucking machine.
Alid, that's a real good question. That's a real good question.
Out of Shawn Michaels, Ravishing Rick Rude, The Rock, Ric Flair, Bret Hart, or other, which had the largest female fan base? It's hard to say. It's not the Heartbreak Kid, but Ravishing Rick Rude had people fainting. Ric Flair was, high flying
Space Mountain. Space Mountain.
Bret Hart was more like, he wasn't really like he was more about family. Everybody knew he was married and everything else like that. So that hit him. Shawn Michaels, like, it's kind
of. I will say, there is no wrong answer if you put Rick Rude, Richard Morgan Fleer, and Shawn Michaels. But I mean, if you want to put it to a top two, it's Rude and Shawn Michaels. And even the fact that Rude did not like Shawn, even when they were in DX, Rude was not a fan of Shawn Michaels. Not a fan at all. But I mean,
not even the kiss stealing, wheeling, dealing. Not even that. No, we're not limousine riding. Because
no, Flair in the 80s was the originator. Let's just call it what it is.
Ric Flair, even goddamn, even now.
No, Flair.
Nobody his age should be doing what he is doing currently.
Flair, unfortunately, is
viral for all the wrong reasons.
Flair, unfortunately, is the tragedy that is he cannot separate character from real life.
Well, but here's the thing, and I think we need to make it this would be a good time to make the distinction. We are the Ring Psychology Podcast, after all.
Yes, we are.
The distinction of separating the character from the real person. What happens when the character is the real person? You're kind of merging the lines because we're seeing a lot more now, especially nowadays. Ric Flair, kind of was doing his own thing. At that time, there was a whole lot of gimmicky characters and, all it wasn't really, there was very handful of guys, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, Arnett, like all those types of guys that were really kind of the mold of what was going on back then.
Mm-hmm.
But with Ric Flair, you had somebody who, the background he came from wasn't, as lavish as the lifestyle he ended up getting.
Yes.
But that's what he was. That's what he's admitted. Like, that's all me. I buy the clothes. I go to get the limousines.
No,
I'm in
he
the private
has.
jets. Like
He basically once that character came to life, he lived it, and still lives it to this day.
And say Undertaker, for example, Mark Calloway, Undertaker. Now, if Mark Calloway can't not be Undertaker, like everywhere he goes, he's dressed like the Undertaker and doing it like that's he becomes that character in real life, then we're like, what the hell is going on? Hulk Hogan is another example of a guy who can't live outside of his character. Name me one time that Hulk Hogan wasn't on film and wasn't saying the same fucking catchphrases that he has said since the 80s. Since the late 70s, early 80s.
Let me
tell you something, brother.
Every
fucking time.
I would probably say the one time he didn't was after he got baptized, and this was recently.
Recently.
Correct.
So up until this point, he is still the Hulk Hogan character.
Well, I mean, when he's on camera or when he's promoting his beach house, yes, because he will still be like, he'll speak in the Hulk voice. He will not be Terry Jean Balea and becomes Hulk Hogan, but after he got baptized, he was speaking more of himself and not as the immortal Hulk Hogan. To which, again, him fighting Christ at the age of 70 or being baptized, God bless him, good for him. But I mean, you're right. Obviously, Dusty lived his character for many of years.
But Dusty, Dusty was another thing that it was kind of like he lived his character, but we know kind of the backlash of what happened because of that.
Mm-hmm.
What up, Chad? Appreciate you, brother.
Appreciate everybody chiming in on the Pruneda Brothers YouTube channel or the Pruneda Brothers Facebook page, and also on my Facebook page and the Mizzle and Dub Show page. We just appreciate you guys chiming in as we're doing episode 6 of the Ring Psychology Podcast. I'm the Blaxican Dub Ross, and I'm with the bad guy, Mr. JP. Talking about things that's going on here in the business, as we just talked about the return of MJF, AEW celebrating its 6th anniversary. Liv Morgan now getting her run with the women's title. And of course, perhaps the TNA and NXT perhaps crossing paths to give us a super show, kind of like how AEW does with New Japan Pro Wrestling, like Forbidden Doors coming up for AEW. And of course, we are on the road to SummerSlam for the WWE, which is going to take place in Cleveland, Ohio. So here's my question.
In Cleveland? That's a waste.
Cleveland, yes. But when will we see the seed? When will we see? Will SummerSlam be the seed droppage for the Bloodline Civil War, which we know is coming?
I can't wait for Jacob Fatu to show up. I don't think. Look, there's some rumors going around as the reason to why he hasn't shown up yet. He is signed with the WWE. He is there. He is, there is fears.
Was he in New Japan or was he Ring of Honor?
He did Ring of Honor. don't know if I think he did a little bit of New Japan. He was the MLW champion for a long period of time. Did some stints in TNA. Like, the reason why he hasn't been in is because they think he's so good he's gonna take away from Solo, and they're trying to give Solo a push. They're trying to give Solo Sikoa a push, and the Samoan werewolf is a whole nother type of beast.
Well, I mean, you have to put some respect on the Fatu name, and I mean,
Jacob like people look. We need to imagine this in your heads, okay? This is a 300-pound human being, or close to 300-pound human being,
like his dad was in his prime,
who does Rey Mysterio luchador type shit. If you've seen him on the road, everyone wants to call the greatest moonsault ever. There's a few people. Christopher Daniels had a really nice one. Tiffany Stratton right now has a really nice, greatest moonsault ever.
My all-time favorite is still the Great Muta.
Yeah, I mean, that's another, good. So Jacob Fatu is a 300-pound human being who is doing this off the top rope and looking Kurt Angle picturesque when he's doing a backflip to land on his opponent. This dude has dropped from the top rope, basically sat and used the top rope to spring him to flip himself back on. Look, this guy and the charisma, his promo skills, everything that comes with Jacob Fatu. Yeah, he's gonna take the shine away from Solo.
And if you thought Vader was a big man that did a good moonsault, you ain't seen nothing on Jacob Fatu's moonsault.
Oh.
And I think Vader
Vader was a very clumsy moonsault. Like,
it was, but for him being 450 plus to still do one,
yes,
and Vader is one of my all-time top big men ever to do it.
Can you imagine if he actually took care of his health?
Yeah,
I mean, like, he was one of the first, like, athletic super big men that you were like, holy shit.
Yes.
There is no fucking reason why a man that size should be moving that fast and that, like, Swan Lakey. Like, smooth.
If you really want to see the real true skill of Leon White, go watch his Japan stuff.
Oh.
Go.
Why does everybody have better matches in Japan than they do in the WWE? Even Hulk Hogan had way better matches in Japan than he did in the WWE.
And for people, well, first off, people forget that Hiro Matsuda, no slouch his own right, Hiro Matsuda trained Hulk Hogan. So for people to say that Hulk didn't know how to wrestle, it's not that he didn't know how to. He didn't need to in the States, because of course, us in the States, we want to be entertained. It's entertainment. We want, to play to the crowd, this, that, and
the
stuff.
Glitz and the glamour and all that other kind
of. In Japan, they want to see technical skill. They want to see the art form that is a fireman's carry or a drop toe hold or a side headlock or a flying head scissors. I mean,
they want to see this shit done right. God damn it.
Yeah, I mean, heck.
Don't disrespect our intelligence.
I saw Hulk Hogan do an enziguri on the Great Muta, and I'm like, this is not.
Wait a minute.
This is not the Terry Bollea that I watched for many years, talking about say your prayers, take your vitamins, believe in yourself.
No, this is not the real American. This is something different. This is not gold tights and red boots. No. This is crazy.
Right now, I'm watching Ichiban. I'm watching Ichiban right now. But no, I mean, Hogan had some great matches with Antonio Inoki. Him and Tenryu tore the house down. And I mean, Tenryu is one of the all-time great wrestlers. If you've never seen Tenryu wrestle, I'm telling you, you need to go watch the tape and watch Tenryu, one of the all-time greats in Japan, Hogan and Riki Choshu. Riki Choshu is in my top 5 of all-time best lariats. The Ricky Lariat is the stuff of legend, folks.
I always thought about it too, because I was I wasn't like a fan of JBL per se, but I was a real big fan of the clothesline from hell. The big lariat that just, there was something about it that I was like, if I ever got into professional wrestling, 100%, that would be my finishing move.
The lariat would be the finisher.
Fucking just absolutely taking your forearm and bicep and ripping somebody's throat out. That was just, he did some brutal ones that I was like, holy crap. The times that he hit Rey Mysterio would definitely sell it very well.
Yes.
But let's see. Wrestlers manage them, or
it's a mixture of both. It's a mixture of both, because they're always together. They're always traveling together. So everybody per se is acting of a character that they are portraying on TV, but some of it is back and forth. For example, right now, Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman has been associated with the Samoan family for most of his wrestling career in some capacity, with the exception of when he was in the Dangerous Alliance and with Brock Lesnar. But Paulie has been evolved with the Inoue family for many, 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 many years.
Yeah,
that's where he got to start. So it's really all one big melting pot, if you will, with managers and talent. Because obviously Paul does a lot of stuff backstage. Does help in the creative process. Does help also in Gorilla, because with the brain that Paul Heyman has, and of course he learned from one of the all-time greats. He learned firsthand from Dusty Rhodes. So,
the WWE, like you really kind of look back at it. It's pretty crazy, and it made me kind of like think about this, because we're trying to go to WrestleMania.
yes.
The plan is to go to WrestleMania in Vegas this year, enjoy the festivities, all the shows, like do it the right way. Like if you're gonna go to WrestleMania, do it the right fucking way. That's the hope, that's the plan, that's what we're trying to do. Now, once we get there and see how everything kind of gets out, it made me start thinking about it, going, throughout my lifetime, I have watched WrestleMania events take place that have been like, holy shit, I wish I was there for this. Holy shit, I wish I was there for that. I remember sitting in the living room with basically my entire family watching the 45-minute classic that was The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels for the first time. Not the second time, the first time it happened. We sat there for 45 minutes to an hour going, holy fuck, like this is one of the greatest matches of all time. And it is considered one of the greatest matches of all time. But for you, what WrestleMania moment throughout your almanac-y brain that you have inside that bald noggin of yours, what is the best moment for WrestleMania that you witnessed, that you either went to, saw it, like that was the moment that you can recollect and you'd be able to, at the drop of a dime, be able to tell you everything about that match?
Well, God willing, my first WrestleMania will be next year in Vegas, on April 19th and April 20th. I've always said, and it will
fucked
forever
up and gave it to us on 420. They fucked up
on a Easter on Resurrection Sunday, on Jesus Day.
Hold on, it's Easter too?
Yes, it is.
Oh my goodness. We're about to get up there with Jesus on Easter. We have all risen. This is going to be beautiful. This is going to be awesome.
As I've said more than once, and it will forever be my number one match until God calls me home, Steamboat Savage WrestleMania 3 set the bar so high for matches to steal the show and to steal the thunder of a main event. That did it. Of course, for me, if we're talking about my childhood, for me, it's still WrestleMania 7 career-ending match between The Warrior and Savage. How Savage comes full circle, and how Elizabeth is in the stands watching the match. How Sherry,
the tearjerker moment of the century,
as Savage is on the ground and Sherry kicks the crap out of him, and then Elizabeth comes from the crowd and comes to Sherry, which Savage doesn't even know that she's in the audience. Then they reunite, and literally every woman inside the LA Sports Arena is crying and clapping because of the reunited. Of course, just Bobby the Brain Heenan just selling it on commentary with Gorilla saying, "This is sickening." So, I mean, this is, Bobby the Brain at its full peak. As I've gotten older, obviously the Iron Man match, WrestleMania 12 between Bret and Shawn, stands out. The double turn at WrestleMania 13 between Bret and Stone Cold, the infamous Stone Cold not tapping out to the sharpshooter, blood coming down his face, that iconic moment. And then, of course, Bret
and
went on
Shamrock as the referee. Not really.
Yes.
Not a lot of people remember that.
And then, like I said, the double turn, and then
that was nuts.
I still say Bret's heel run in '97 was probably some of Bret's best work he ever did. And his promos in '97 as a heel was some of the best work he's ever did. And of course, it all went to crap.
He waited too long to fucking do it. First of all, he got so into the fact that he wanted like the baby face, not adapting when he should. Like the Montreal screw job happened for a reason. Okay, should it have happened the way it did? Debatable. But the fact of the matter was, Bret Hart was making it difficult for the company to make a decision on what they wanted to do. He was making it about him, really, in that moment. If you look at it from a business standpoint, everything that was going on, the fact that he didn't want to drop the title to Shawn for kind of, personal bullshit instead of what the company wanted him to do.
I think it was more so he didn't want to drop it to him in Canada. If this was in the States, I don't think it would have been an issue, but because it was in his home country.
Yeah, but we all know Vince McMahon loves having people lose in their hometown.
Yes.
He loves people losing in their hometown because it generates heat.
Yes.
You generate a big type of, this is the biggest generation, of heat that I had ever seen up until, so people thought this was real. There's speculation. Scott Hall actually came out and said that it was all part of the show. He thinks it's all a work. That's lived the last of the truly good kayfabe moments that nobody knows whether or not if it was real. It just, there's a whole lot of things that kind of go into that, and there's documentaries on it. Bret Hart openly said why he didn't want to drop the title in Canada. It had nothing to do of dropping the title in Canada. It was the fact that he felt disrespected by Shawn Michaels. And let's be fair, Shawn Michaels at that point was a prick.
Oh yes, absolutely.
He was an absolute dickhead.
Yes,
absolutely. So
absolutely.
I don't necessarily blame him for feeling that way. But if the company has a plan to do something, and one, you're not even gonna be here next week.
Yes.
So you're about to go to the other side.
But
why should it, as a business standpoint? So for him to kind of essentially hold the title hostage.
Mm-hmm.
That's on Bret. They forced them to make a decision. Was it a popular one? No, not even people in the locker room, thought it was a good idea. The Undertaker was pissed off.
Well, here's the thing.
During that time.
And here's the thing. Shawn Michaels has told the story. He said that he was hiding from the Undertaker because Undertaker was about to tape up his fist and really go lay into Shawn. But then Shawn came back and marked on him, "We're cool." Shawn could breathe a little bit because, as we know, Bret
Shawn
punched.
sold the shit out of it. Let's see. For me, he said, "For me, WrestleMania 6, Ultimate Warrior wins the Intercontinental." And yeah, that was a big moment too.
That was a big
moment as well.
Very big because you see Hogan gets pinned cleanly, which rarely happens. And then
remember how John Cena never lost? Remember that Super Cena time? Yeah, that was Hogan.
Yeah,
that was definitely Hogan back in the day as well. That shit used to piss me off.
But you go back, but you go back to what you talked about, how Shawn was basically a prick during that time. Think about this. Now, Shawn Michaels became Intercontinental Champion for a third time, beats Jeff Jarrett. Shawn Michaels refuses to drop the IC belt to Shane Douglas, aka Dean Douglas. So there's a so-called injury that Shawn has. Shawn was supposed to drop the belt back to Bret Hart after Shawn wins the title at the Royal Rumble in '97 over Sid. Shawn loses his smile, drops the belt again, or holds up the belt again, and thus leads to eventually The Undertaker getting it after Bret wins at the Fatal 4-Way, loses the next night back. E-I-E-I-O.
I've lost my smile. You are going to rehab. That's
pretty much. So
Shawn, you have a fucking problem. Let's get you cleaned up, sir.
And not to mention, Shawn was also having very bright, sunny days before she went off the Richter scale with one Tammy.
Said Richter scale. You said Richter scale.
Oh yeah, because she went completely off the Richter scale. One Tammy Lynn Cinch, who is now somewhere in Florida behind bars.
Keyword on the scale. Just kidding. I'm just kidding, people. But she is not the same Sunny that she was. Let's just say that.
No. She went from the golden fox to what the heck happened to you. But so I can understand why Bret didn't want to do that, because Shawn was just not willing to work with people unless you were in the clique. And by this time, the clique was gone. And by this time, Triple H was now starting to ascend, per se. But because they participated in the curtain call, Triple H unfortunately became the scapegoat, sacrificial lamb, because obviously Kevin and Scott were leaving. And of course, Shawn was the golden boy and, was the face of the company. So you're not going to bury him, per se. So
no, not at all.
But it turned into a blessing, because let's just say if the plans originally still go through, that Triple H became King of the Ring in '96, what would have happened? Would eventually Austin 316 be born? Because of that, so because of the curtain call, Austin 316 was born, because now you made Austin King of the Ring in '96. And obviously Stone Cold gives the famous promo, Austin 316 says, "I just whipped your ass," and here we go. That started that phenomenal run. And then, of course, Triple H wins the following year in '97, and then, of course, gets his big break, becoming the leader DX after WrestleMania 14. So, I mean, it was a business decision, because Vince, and I don't blame him, he felt like Medusa was going to do the same thing on Nitro, what Medusa did when she had the WWF Women's title belt at the time and put it in the trash can.
She brought it out during the Hall of Fame.
Vince thought that Bret was going to. Now, I don't think Bret would have done that, per se. Personally, that's just my personal opinion. I don't think Bret would have done that. I don't think Bret would have disgraced the title like that. I think there was some integrity that Bret had, but Vince had those thoughts in his mind, and he felt like he had to do what he had to do to save his company. So, I mean, it certainly was controversial, to say the very least.
Yeah.
But at that time, Vince did what he had to do to save his company, because at that time, WCW was
kicking their ass
in the ratings war. I mean, to lose 83 consecutive weeks. And then the tide turned when Eric Bischoff told Tony Schiavone to make that one mistake that he clearly did by announcing what happened, because for a long time, as we know, Raw was pre-taped, and the only time Raw was live was the night after a pay-per-view, but mostly other times it was a tape show. And then Vince's like, okay, well, screw that. I'm going to go live now. But the one mistake Bischoff made was announcing that Mankind was going to win the title. And then everybody flipped over to Monday Night Raw.
And so, excuse me, what?
that'll
I
put.
Still remember Jim Ross doing it.
That'll
going,
put.
Thanks.
That'll put butts in the seats. And actually, that was Michael Cole's first big moment in the WWF, because he was behind the mic when Mick Foley won his first title. Now we all wish it could have been Jim Ross, but at that time, Jim Ross was battling a second bout of Bell's palsy, and of course, he had lost his mother. Yep. So he was going through the things that he was going through. But Michael Cole had his first big moment behind the mic as a play-by-play guy, which obviously Cole has now become iconic as he has gotten a lot better. But now I think we're now seeing the more free Michael Cole now that Vince is not in his ear in the headset as he was for so many years. Because, I mean, we all said that he's something like a tool.
He's having fun with Pat McAfee.
Yeah, he's having fun because he's finally allowed to be himself. He's finally allowed to be himself. It's okay to say the word wrestling now. It's okay to be called a professional wrestler now in the WWE as opposed to years past where you had to be a superstar. But now you can say
sports entertainer.
But now you can say professional, because, I mean, again, as I said earlier in the show, don't insult the fans' intelligence, because if you try to do that, they will let themselves be heard. Because they will tell you.
Don't get me wrong. There are some stupid people out there. But
yes,
there are some very, especially like being biased and stuff. I never understood the tribalism of shitting on like no matter what the WWE does, good or bad, AEW fans will always shit on them, and vice versa. It just, nobody's sitting to actually appreciate what's actually happening in the fact that since that time of WCW and WWE during that war, the amount of talent that is in professional wrestling right now is absurd. It is absolutely absurd. And they're now running into a problem of, it's not like we don't think they're good. Obviously, everybody is incredible. But we only have so much TV time.
Yeah.
And if you ain't over, you ain't over.
You ain't over. And that's the problem. I mean, AEW has what, 4 shows or 3 shows?
They need to. Oh God! I thought that was. Anybody else think that was like everybody who's watching? Did anybody think it was a fucking good idea for them to start going? What do they have now? They have Dynamite. They have Rampage. They have Collision. They have what else? What else do they have? I know they have those 3. What else do they have?
They did have a Monday YouTube show. I don't know if they still do that.
They still have AEW Dark. That's another show. They have, I like the fact that they have pay-per-views a little bit further out from each other. I think that's helpful. It kind of brings, eyes to the program. And it builds up the pay-per-view a little bit better. But where they jumped the gun is they should have just stuck with Dynamite. Just sit there and build that brand. And then maybe later on down the line, you can go ahead and do Rampage. But then to kind of force Collision on a Saturday night, it's kind of like, now people are watching other stuff on Saturday night. They had better things to do than to watch Collision. And Bryan Danielson not fire everybody, but fine everybody, for everything that they do. Like this, nobody has time for that shit. So it's kind of, they should have stayed at one, built that for about 10 years or so, but they wanted to compete, and that's where I think the problem lied. Like they were trying to compete with NXT. Like they weren't even really trying to compete with Raw or SmackDown. Like it was NXT who they were originally trying to compete with. Granted, NXT was the hottest thing in WWE, at the time. So you want to go up against the best programming. But and the early days of AEW, I was like, oh, I cannot wait. I cannot wait for the future. My buddy Nick is still waiting for Kenny Omega and Okada to finally go after each other again. He's waiting to buy the tickets for that pay-per-view event when that happens, because he wants to be in the building when Okada and Kenny Omega go after it again.
That's what he's waiting for, huh?
Yep. That's because, those two together, what they've done is just, it's going to be remembered for forever. It was kind of revolutionary what they did. That whole back and forth between the two was, New Japan folklore. It will be at some point.
Well, hopefully, Kenny Omega will be able to come back and do what he does best, because definitely missed seeing him out there. So hopefully he can get himself healed up and back out there, because we definitely want to see that
machine.
Definitely want to see that come back into fruition and give AEW another shot and jolt in the arm. But we like to thank everybody for spending your Thursday night with us, as we got SmackDown coming up tomorrow, as we're on the road to SummerSlam and on the road to the Forbidden Door in the world of professional wrestling. Like to thank my co-host of the Mizzle Dub Show, Mizzle, for hopping on with us and talking some professional wrestling. Don't forget, check us out on the Ring Psychology Podcast 2.0 on the Pernetta Brothers production page on YouTube. Also, catch the All Pro Joffos tomorrow night with JP, Country K, and the greatest DJ in the world, DJ Matt Sticks, as the fireworks erupt in the JP
It does
household.
That every once in a while. It's pretty weird, but the timing of it is nice.
Yes, the pyro was fantastic. But nonetheless, thank you guys for chiming in. Don't forget to check out episode 208 of the Mizzle and Dub Show. Coming up in about 2 hours once Mizzle goes to work, we will recap Game 5 of the Timberwolves and Mavericks as the Mavericks come to the NBA Finals to take on the Boston Celtics. But for the bad guy, Josh Pernetta, Double A, Anthony Alvarez saying thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the ring.